I was thinking this morning about food because I was drinking my breakfast. I've been drinking my breakfast for a while, a couple of months now. It's not any necessarily like protein shake or special deal. It's just a bunch of stuff that I throw together, breakfasty stuff, banana yogurt, almond milk, stuff like that. Peanut butter, throw some peanut butter in there. But anyways, I was thinking about food because of that, and was thinking about food from Kazakhstan. Growing up as a younger kid, we definitely ate all sorts of different stuff. I do remember in Africa eating, oh dang it, now I forgot the name for it. It wasn't, boo-boo was the thing you wore. I also wore a boo-boo, which is like a robe that the Muslims used to pray in. But the food was like this sticky, maybe my dad or my mom will remember, but it was like this sticky banana stuff that we would eat. And they would make it in the bowl by pounding it all together. Man, I wish I could remember the name. Anyways, that was one thing I remember eating that was strange. But I think Kazakhstan really was a bigger aspect of learning to eat strange foods and also becoming very proud of it, in the sense that I kind of have a motto now in my life that I should try everything at least once as far as food is concerned. Try every food at least once. So a couple of things that we ate in Kazakhstan. I remember the first time my dad and I went up to Madeo, which is one of, it's where this big huge ice skating rink is up in the mountains. It's kind of a big tourist spot now. But we went up there for, I think, lunch with somebody, and my dad ordered me cow tongue, but he didn't tell me what it was. And he was like, just try it and see if you like it. And I tried it and I really liked it. And it was cow tongue. I have not had it since then because, well, I've had it a couple of times since then, but I've not had it since then where I liked it as much. It definitely was well prepared. So, one of the other things that they eat in Kazakhstan that we've eaten a lot now is sheep's head. Sheep in general, lamb, one of my favorite meats, mostly because of growing up in Kazakhstan and being readily available and cheap. It's something that's hard to come by in the States, or at least it's expensive, and so I don't eat it as much, but it's my favorite meat. But what happened is, typically, especially when we first got there, you'd go to someone's home, or they'd invite you to their home up in the mountains, their yurt, and they'd throw a big huge feast for you, and tons of food, and tons of singing, and tons of drinking, and it was fun times to get to know the culture for sure. But what they would do is they'd go grab one of their sheep and kill it right there in front of you, and then serve all the different pieces to you. You know, they'd cook it obviously, but it was like this big ordeal of, here I am giving you the best of what I have. Very hospitable culture, by the way. Something that I kind of miss. Hard to come by sometimes in the States. But the head was considered to be like the most honorable piece, and it had tons of meaning. And so the different pieces were given out to different people, including the kids, to mean certain things. So most often, the first piece that was served was the ears of the sheep, and those were given to the children, whoever's present, or the children of the most honored guest. And it symbolized listening to your parents, which I always thought was kind of interesting. Then lots of different pieces has different meanings, but like the tongue would usually go to my dad as the preacher, as the speaker, and so he sometimes got that. Dad also sometimes got the brain, depending on if they cracked it open or not. So that was one thing I remember once having it in the back kitchen, because it was difficult to get out, so they didn't serve it. And so we were in the back kitchen, and my friend was like, here, let's have some of this. And we cracked it open ourselves and had some of the brain, and I really liked it again. And so it became this thing where, like, if they didn't serve it, because it was too hard to get to, then I would go in the back and get it in the kitchen. But if they did serve it, it went to the wisest person and symbolizing, that their wisdom. What else? Like, they'd do the cheeks, the eyeballs. I'd always take off my glasses because they'd give eyeballs to the person who needed better eyesight. It's kind of interesting thinking back on it, because some parts are given to help you have a better, to speak, to listen to your parents, to make things better for you that you don't do well. And then other parts were given to you because of things that you did do well. So that was always kind of interesting to me, especially looking back on things. But I think one aspect of that really stayed with me was it created this thing of liking food. And not just liking to eat a lot of food, specifically trying new foods and it being an experience and part of the culture, and like finding food that they don't think any of the foreigners will eat because the foreigners don't like it, but it's a part of their culture. I think that that's the coolest thing to be able to do. It's very similar to learning language in the sense that when you learn someone's language, you're honoring them, and very often they'll be very patient and kind with you. Not always, but more often than not. When you're learning their language, I think food is a very similar deal, where you can try their food and it will help open doors in regards to relationships and honoring culture. So anyways, that was what I thought I'd talk about today, was food. So we'll talk to you tomorrow.